speaking of the SEC championship, we essentially had one team eliminated from the race, and that's the Ole Miss Rebels because they've lost their second conference game here. Mm-hmm. They're not officially eliminated, but they need Alabama to lose, I think, every game left on their schedule. So Auburn beats Ole Miss 31-20, and Auburn very much alive for that SEC West. They have just the one loss in conference play as well. So if they got a huge matchup here, Texas A&M. They got a huge matchup against Alabama, but they control their destiny. And I wrap that all into the Cincinnati talk, Shay, because Texas A&M and Auburn probably both going to be in the top 10 when the college football playoff rankings are revealed Tuesday evening. You would think, my God, this is the only ranked matchup on the slate. Let's go College Game Day. And instead, we're going Cincinnati versus 3-5 Tulsa. Oh, my God. What are we doing here, Shane?
I haven't focused on Cincinnati. I told you last week, Cincinnati caught me off guard. I thought this was like really what it flashed back to was like a NIT tournament, like with basketball. And I was like, what are we doing here? Is this some sort of kind of playoff or thing? And then it dawned on me. They literally have Cincinnati ranked number 2 in the country. And then you're watching them, and they're god-awful. What, they beat Notre Dame? You know what I'm saying? It's the Notre Dame effect. That's what this thing is, Mike. They wanted Notre Dame in the college football playoff so bad, and since they can't be in, they got to pick the one team that beat them. And so I don't know. I don't want to get off on that. The fact of the matter is College Game Day is kind of a joke these days. And I always think that it should be at the best possible game. The best possible game, and we're going to get into it later this week, is Auburn, Texas A&M. Not even close. These two teams are a million. I would love to see both of these teams individually play Cincinnati with their backups. I'm telling you, that's just how it's just an absolute joke that College Game Day has chose these guys.
Yeah, and speaking of the Auburn Tigers, Shane, I mean, what a tremendous coaching job Brian Harsin and company, Mike Bobo, Derek Mason have done this season on the Plains. Hell, it was 5 weeks ago. Bo Nix got benched, almost lost to Georgia State. I mean, this is looking like it's going in the wrong direction. He fires the receivers coach. They've been red hot since that game. I know they lost to Georgia, but hell, every team that loses to Georgia, what do? We sit around and we turn around and say, well, you got beat by the best team in the country. There's no shame in that. But, really credit Auburn for taking advantage. Every drive, aside from one in the first half, Shane, ended in a touchdown. We're talking 10-play drives, 11-play drives, 8-play drives, touchdown, I believe 1 3-and-out, then touchdown. And that's all they really needed to win this football game. And the defense, while the offense stepped up in the first half, it was all the defense here in the second half playing a somewhat of a bend but don't break styles. Prevented Ole Miss from converting these fourth downs that they've been doing on everybody this season aside from Alabama. And that was the key to the game, Shane. The defense stepping up in the second half. Bo Nix, I think he outplayed Matt Corral. And I know Matt Corral got hurt, and he came back. That was a heroic performance. Man, I was rooting for Matt Corral to come back and, just fire off a couple touchdowns because that would have been his Heisman moment. And I'm not saying he's out of the running by any means, but this loss is certainly going to hurt that a little bit, but, I hate to see him go down, but, he got outdueled, I thought, by Bo Nix and company, and this is kind of what I saw coming here, Shane. Just kind of the main difference in my pick of Auburn winning it was just Ole Miss having to play, the run they went on, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, now Auburn. I mean, that's just the SEC grind, and that'll come to get you on the tail end of something like that. And they just ran into the buzzsaw there on the Plains, and all of a sudden Auburn is, a team that I don't think is getting enough respect nationally as a team that, they still have college football playoff hopes, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Mike. It's Halloween. You didn't even ask me what I was going as today.
Oh, what are you going as, sir, Shane?
I'm going as an Ole Miss defender. Yes, I'm going to wear a jersey, and I'm just going to randomly fall down at different parts of the neighborhood here. Grab the back of my leg. No, this one, ironically, Mike, was injuries. I mean, if you think about it, we give Ole Miss a hard time with some of their tactics, but your quarterback, your stud got hurt part of the game. You got your receiver hurt part of the game. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I think really snuck up to him, and the injury bug being one of them. But I'll tell you, man, this Auburn offense, this Auburn defense, it was just hitting, and it was old school. That's one thing. You always think about Ole Miss, teams like Tennessee. They're running these teams like Mississippi State. I don't know if this style is going to stick around forever. I mean, we used to run the wing T. We did wishbone back in the day. They made forever. It's like for every time they create an offense, they create a defense to beat it. But Auburn went old school, man. Just run the damn ball and then pass off of it, and it worked. That's what I liked about it. You talked one thing about Bo Nix, but Tank, man. Tank put this damn team on his back last night, and you could not stop him. And then when it got crunch time, when you got in the red zone, who did you rely on? The second best running back on your team, Bo Nix. So right. It was one after the other, and this team just did not give up. They weren't expected to win this thing. They came away the champs. I think this was a fantastic game start to finish, and you felt like Ole Miss was going to get back in this thing toward the tail end. But credit to Brian and the boys, they just toughed it out, and now look, man, they're 8-2, man, or 6-2. Nobody was talking about Auburn at the start of this season, and now we're comparing. They, like you said, control their own destiny. There's a real chance, Mike, that these guys could be in an SEC championship. First year, Brian Harsin, come on now.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard a lot of complaints, Shane, on the penalties and it being one-sided, but Ole Miss had 7, Auburn had 6. There was a questionable call or two, but hell, it's not like it was 10-0 or 9-1 or something ungodly like that. So I don't blame this one on the officiating either, but I just think the better team won. And that's not to say Ole Miss is not a really good team. I mean, hell, they should probably be top 15, top 10 still based on everything they've proven this year. But just Auburn, the Plains, that's a tough place to play, particularly at night. And, you said it, Tank Bigsby, let's give him credit, 140 rushing yards, over 6 yards per carry. I mean, he was the beast we knew. And, one thing, Shane, I know, South Carolina fans don't want to hear this. They gave, Mike Bobo so much hell for leaving that program. But maybe look at what is South Carolina's offense now that Mike Bobo's gone. And then here we got Auburn. Bo Nix has been rejuvenated. We've got this ground game working that, like I said, a couple weeks ago, they looked like trash against Georgia State. Mm-hmm. Yet here in a short matter of time, I mean, they're slicing and dicing a top 10 team here. I mean, again, Coach of the Year, it's too early to give a final vote, but my number one vote is got to be for Brian Harsin, the way this team is playing and competing. And, it's going to be very, very difficult to go on the road and win at Texas A&M this week. But based on everything we've seen, I would not be stunned if that's what happens.
Absolutely, man. Played great, played fantastic football. And, did they make mistakes? Absolutely. And the officiating, I mean, that's a theme of every game, it feels like, anymore. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you think this was bad. Wait till we start talking about the Kentucky game here in a minute. But the Ole Miss Auburn game, we didn't expect this to be one that we were highlighting, in this part at the end of October. But I'm telling you, there's good on both sides. Lane Kiffin, what he's been able to do with these Ole Miss Rebels is impressive. I don't believe, Mike, top to bottom, that this Ole Miss was a top 10 roster by no means. Mm-hmm. But it became a top 10 team by the way they play offense and the way that Matt Corral's been playing. And I guarantee, man, if he was at 100%, we may have had a different outcome here. Right. You look on the other side of the ball, you got Auburn, where they're coming from. I mean, these are two teams that came from just the bottom cellar of the SEC, and now they are true contenders in the West. So I don't know. I don't think either program is upset with this current situation. I mean, I know Ole Miss would like to have the victory, but I wouldn't walk away thinking, damn, we got screwed there. You just had some injuries, man, and it caught up to you.
Mm-hmm. You guys were 5-5 in the red zone. They were 4-8. You guys were 2-2 on the down. They
Yeah, that's pretty good in our favor. I didn't know all the stats, but I knew we converted some. We knew that they would go for it on fourth down, so that was part of our preparation. And I think those fourth downs were in the red zone. I believe all of them were, and we were able to make plays, and that's points. You know, if they're not going to take points in special teams, they're going to go for it, and we can get the ball back. You kind of think of that as a turnover, and then we had the one interception too in the end zone. That was a big play by Simpson. So those were critical moments in the game that we were able to win. We obviously had a couple in our favor on fourth down, which helped us extend drives. But you know, those are things that are going to happen in a game like this when you're playing against a good team that score a lot of points. That's their mentality, and we need to have that same mindset going in this game to stop them and also convert some of our fourth downs. Yeah, well, I thought Tank played hard tonight. He ran hard. You know, he was able to get loose on a few runs, which were big plays for us. But even go back to the Georgia game, and there was one run in there we kind of got stuffed, and he's kept moving his feet and bounced it for a touchdown. And so like everybody else, I think he's improving. The O-line did a good job in this game. Tight ends did a good job in this game. So like it's a combination of everybody making sure that they're executing their assignment, and Tank's going to go out there and make plays, and he was running physical tonight, so that was good. Jarquez made some runs tonight. Sean came in and ran really well in some critical moments. So there was overall, I think, just in our run game, I thought we had a good balance, good mix, and Tank was a big part of that. And certainly had a great game tonight. You can put schemes together, but guys have to execute them. And you know, is your O-line going to be able to do that? Can your tight ends make those plays? Is your wide receivers going to be able to go out there and execute whatever concepts we come up with? Can your tailbacks make it happen? So, you know, it's a lot to do with our players as well. And I think that's what really good coaches do. They look at the personnel, and that's something that we've had to do as we learn this team early in the season. You know, where do we put the guys? What's the best fit? What's the best routes? What are the best things that we can do as a staff to put these guys in a situation they can be successful? And Coach Bobo has done a good job of that. And I've been impressed. Like he's in a good groove. I thought he called a really good game tonight. Kept Ole Miss off balance, made big plays when we needed to, and utilized his personnel. I mean, I think we had 10 different guys touch the ball. So, you know, to me, that's goes back to just his preparation with the staff, and then carrying that over onto the field and practice, and then executing the game.
You brought up the red zone, 2 touchdowns and 8 trips. Just was it all numbers crunch with you guys not having the personnel you normally do, or was Auburn doing something that kind of gave you guys fits over there?
No, I mean they did a good job, but it wasn't any special new defense or anything. When you get in the red zone, things tighten down. So if you're not running the ball well, you know you're going to have tight windows, and guys, you got to make good throws and got to make big plays, and you know, we didn't do that. And you know, obviously sit here and say you could have kicked field goals, and you know, but you know, we made a lot of those, converted more than anybody in the country, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, but we could have kicked those field goals and still lost too. So.
Yeah, Lane, when Matt came back, he actually ran on the field for a moment there, and then you took a timeout. At what point did you realize he was back on the sideline and available to go back in the game? You can take me through that.
Yeah, I thought the way he came off that it was really bad, you know, like broken. And so I kind of had already gone to that place. So I was kind of surprised that he had come back, especially to come back and have some type of movement skill, which was awesome because, you know, I was in the tank that anytime something like that happens, you say, okay, well, we should have had a better play on the first down where he got, you know, hit and injured when we were taking a shot. So it was obviously good to have him back there. And the play before had been running down with the play clock and stuff, so we had to use a timeout.
Matt, what was the injury and just what allowed you to kind of come back so quick?
It was the same thing of what happened in the Tennessee game. I felt like I couldn't feel it, my ankle. Heard a pop, but it was just I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know what it was. It's just couldn't feel it for that 5 minutes. Got it back and then got an X-ray. I told them if nothing was broken, I'm going back in, and that was it. And I mean, no excuses for not executing. Because if I wasn't able to execute, I would have not been back in. So I mean, I'm expected to make those plays that I missed, and the ones I usually make, I didn't, and that's on me.